I'm here to address the elephant in the room. And what that is who the fuck are these two guys? And what credentials do they have to be telling me anything about relationships? So I'm here to help answer that question for you, as a matter of fact. Today's video is going to be a little different. Today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the type of women that will be single forever. Now, I know if you're watching this and you're a woman, your question is going to be, why the fuck do I need to listen to men talking to me about women? Or why the fuck am I going to listen to men who don't know what it's like to be a woman? Yeah, you're right. What I can tell you is, based on my experience and my research within the realms of relationship coaching and psychology, I'm able to pinpoint some things that cause women to ultimately ruin and sabotage their own relationship, as well as even some things for men that cause them to sabotage and ruin their own relationship. And what I find is there's a common denominator in almost every relationship that's failed, where either the woman doesn't acknowledge her own fault or she does acknowledge her own fault. And now, granted, what I'm going to state may not apply to you. And if it doesn't, then that's lovely. But just because it doesn't apply to you doesn't mean it doesn't apply to everyone else. All right? And we'll talk about that whole self-centered thing a little bit later. But, Darren, let me ask you this. What do you think is the first kind of woman that would be single forever? What mentality does she have for us to even sit here and say she will probably likely be single forever?
When you think of a woman that is single and will never be in a relationship, or they can't find a steady relationship, you think of one kind of person. You think of a woman with 8 cats, 12 cats, right? And the most common denominator with the crazy cat lady is that, one, they're really selfish. 2, they kind of have this I hate men mentality. And then when they are in relationships, they never put their guy first. They're always finding excuses and reasons on why their man sucks, on why they hate men, and why women can be better. So it boils down to a mentality issue when it comes to, most importantly, a lack of appreciation in a man.
Give me some real life examples of lack of appreciation where this comes into play, what it might sound like from a man's perspective if you hear a woman displaying this, or even just showing it. What does that look like?
So you might say that, oh, my love language is buying gifts. I'm a giver. I love buying gifts. That's how I show my appreciation. That's how I show my love to someone. But deep down, you can always buy people something, but you can't buy genuine love and affection.
Right.
And to actually show genuine appreciation for your man, instead of always making everything about you, it's just simple as saying thank you for everything that you do. Maybe just making him a hot plate in the morning, or a hot plate at night for dinner. Just be like, hey, babe, I appreciate you. I appreciate all the sacrifices you make, and just show appreciation for the little things.
There's one kind of woman that's going to be single forever. There's one kind of woman that's never going to be able to find a sustainable, lasting relationship. And it's the woman that fails to show appreciation to her man because she's under the idea that because he's a man, it's what he should be doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have to show him I appreciate him. It's his role. He's supposed to do that. Let's say that his duty as a man is, according to you, is supposed to be doing that. Now, has the last 4 or 5 men you've been in a relationship with held up to that standard? They're likely going to say no. Okay, so yes, he should be doing that in theory, right? But yet the last few guys that you've been in a relationship with have not done that. But yeah, you're telling me that it pains you, it hurts you to look your man in the eyes and say, I appreciate you for everything, for all that you've done. So here's the thing, is a lot of women, they think that by doing this, that their man will end up developing this independence mentality where he's like, oh, well, I'm the one that's putting forth all the effort. I'm the one that's bringing all the value to the table. Let me go fuck around with other women, because I bring everything to the table, because she appreciates me, so she's not going to suspect a thing. And a lot of women are afraid of telling their man that they appreciate them because of either one, because of the fact that they think that it's what they should be doing, or 2, because of the fact that they think that by showing their man too much appreciation, their man is going to end up believing that they're too good for her now. And that mentality will lead you into a very dark hole where you would struggle to maintain a relationship with a man, especially a high value man, because you don't show any appreciation. And I'm going to tell you this, men don't need a lot to feel like, they're worth something in a relationship. Men don't need a lot to feel happy. Really. If you look at your man and you tell him, I appreciate everything you've done, and you acknowledge everything that he's done and show him appreciation for it, that's all he needs to smile and be happy and know that he has a worth in your relationship, that he has value in your relationship. But the moment you stop showing appreciation to your man, and the moment you stop showing him that everything that he's doing doesn't go unnoticed, he will start to feel as if he's working towards nothing. He will start to feel as if everything he does goes unnoticed, and that he's not appreciated in a relationship, and he's not valued. And that'll end up resulting in that man slowly but surely beginning to feel like he is in the wrong place to find love. Because surprisingly, a lot of men, you don't have to get them materialistic things. Like, you don't have to buy him flowers in a sense. A man's version of flowers is literally just you acknowledging all of his efforts that he's put forth in the relationship. And now, granted, if you're in a relationship with a guy that's put forth no effort but expects you to put forth all the effort, then that's a different scenario. But at the same time, if you show appreciation to the people that put forth the most amount of effort in your life, you're likely going to maintain that same amount of relationships with people that continue to put forth effort in your life. But if you show lack of appreciation to the people that try, but yet you try to cling on to the people that don't, then it's no surprise why every single relationship that you're in is the same exact thing. It's the same scenario repeating over and over again of low value men that don't put any effort into the relationship but expects everything out of you. Yet you scare off the men that do put in a lot of effort and do provide a lot to the table because of the fact that you can't even tell them thank you for the little efforts and the little things that they do and small gestures to make you happy.
Yeah, and I want to kind of loop back around to something you said where men don't need a lot to feel loved in a relationship. Men don't need to get bought flowers or anything like that, right? A simple thing you can do besides just saying thank you for everything that they have done for you is just ask them, how are you doing? Take genuine interest in how he's feeling. Ask him, how was work? Is everything okay? Are you under a lot of stress? What can I do to help you relieve that stress and feel a little bit more comfortable at home? The number one sign in a relationship that your man doesn't feel appreciated and he's about to leave, or he's just waiting for the perfect moment for everything to crumble down, is when he comes home from work and instead of immediately getting out of his car and going inside, he sits there. He sits there for 5 and 10 minutes decompressing. There's a reason why he doesn't go in your house and see you as his comfort, as someone that he can rely on, because he knows that stress, as soon as he brings it into the house, you're going to turn it against him. So he sits in his car because it's the only place he feels safe to be able to expel these emotions and actually think about and go through it. He has to prepare himself to go inside to face you. So if you notice your man, he comes home from work and he's sitting in the car for 5 and 10 minutes, you're like, why isn't he inside yet? It's because most likely you don't show appreciation to him. And he's going through a lot of stress internally, so he has to sit there for a while and decompress because you're not the one to be there for him. And you're supposed to be there and support and love him.
Yeah, and I mean, this ties into another kind of woman that stays single forever, and that's the selfish woman.
Yeah.
The woman that thinks she's owed everything.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a high-value woman and you attract a high-value man, then naturally you will likely receive an abundance of love, connection, high-level communication, and a healthy relationship in general, an abundance of love, an abundance of affection, an abundance of attention and reassurance. But if you're a low value woman and you happen to attract a high value man, and your idea of a relationship is I deserve everything and he deserves nothing. I deserve everything because I am the woman in his life. But, the moment he pisses me off, I'm going to threaten to leave him. I'm going to threaten to, go fuck around with somebody else. I'm going to go block his number, go to a party, go do this, go do that. And I want him to run to me. I want him to cry to me. I want him to apologize. That mentality, as ridiculous as it sounds, it's more common than you think. To be selfish, you have to be entitled. And there's a lot of women that are entitled. And this is not to say men aren't, but this segment is about women right now. Right? There is a lot of women that feel a sense of entitlement in a relationship where they refuse to believe that they're not owed everything, where they refuse to believe that they actually have to give in their relationship and not just take. And a lot of women are in these relationships where they're like, give me, give me, give me, give me. Oh, I give him pussy. That's enough.
Mm.
Oh, what do you mean I have to give something back? Do I not, do I not make love to him? Am I not with him? Am I not the prize? They fall under this impression that because the fact that they satisfy their man sexually, they don't have to satisfy him on an affectionate and emotional level. So they end up in a lot of relationships that are really just out of lust. They're in a relationship that's mostly sex driven. And the reason is because now they finally met their match. As far as that's concerned, selfishness, in a relationship, regardless of what the case scenario is one of the number one factors that lead to it failing. Because when you feel like there is nothing wrong with you, or you feel like there is nothing that you need to do to contribute, but you expect everything from your partner in return, it's only going to be a matter of time before your partner starts to feel like, wow, I'm the one that's doing everything in this relationship, and yet I have nothing, to show for it. Like I have so much going into this relationship, but I have yet to receive anything from it. There's no reciprocity. There's no give and take. It's just give, 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 give on my behalf, and it's take, 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 take from her behalf. And when your relationship becomes an abundance of her taking and you giving and never anything coming back in return, then it's very natural for the man to end up being like, you know what? I need to find something better. I need to find a woman that's going to value me for who I am and actually going to provide something and bring something to the table. Because these are the same women, these selfish women are the same ones that they would have a problem and freak out the moment you tell them, hey, if your man is working to put food on the table and your man is working to provide you monetary rewards for you being with him, then you can at least cook for him.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, that's sexist. I shouldn't have to cook for my man. It's his role as a man to bring money to the table, to bring food to the table, to work all these hours while I do nothing at home.
Yeah. And it's like he comes home from working, and as a woman, the first thing you do because of these new society standards is you expect him, when he comes home from slaving away, to provide for you, to make sure you're well taken care of. You sit there and you tell him, you do the dishes, you cook, you clean, you do the. Why am I going to do that? I'm not your maid. I'm your wife. I'm your partner. I'm not your maid. And it's not about being a woman that has to clean up after your man and do all his laundry. It's just showing a little bit of appreciation. He comes home and the house is cleaned. It's not you doing that out of his satisfaction of you're a woman. You have to be his personal maid. It's showing, hey, babe, I understand everything you're going through. You're going through a lot. The last thing I want to do is put more on your plate. Let me go ahead and take care of these things for you. So when you come home, you're in a comfortable, nice, relaxed environment, and you actually genuinely show that you care enough to make sure he gets a warm food in his stomach, that he has a nice place to rest. He doesn't have to stress about doing laundry. He doesn't have to stress about cleaning. And now I understand if you guys are in like a working household, you guys need to divide the chores and everything. But if you're going to be at a stay at home woman and you expect your man to do everything for you because you're a queen, that's just not the way to go. You have to show some sort of understanding and affection. A warm plate of food when he gets home can do a lot. It can really do a lot. He comes home and it just shows that you have this love and you have this care for him and you don't want him to go hungry. And just asking him how is he doing? A lot of women fail just to ask how you're doing, but yet you're so quick to get angry at him if he doesn't ask you how your day was, how you're feeling. And then it's like, you don't care about me. Why don't you ever ask me how I'm doing? Why don't you ever talk to me?
Here's another kind of woman that will struggle to find a lasting relationship and inevitably will end up alone for the rest of her life. It's the woman that lacks the ability to be accountable for things.
Oh, yeah.
One of the biggest struggles for a woman in a relationship is being accountable, is having the ability to look at her man and say, I'm sorry, it was my fault.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than just pointing the finger and saying, oh, well, I only did that because of this. The woman that's going to end up being single forever is the one that hates being accountable for the things that they've caused in a relationship. The moment they're confronted by their man about something they've done that hurt him or that he didn't appreciate or like, rather than accepting accountability and saying, hey, I'm sorry, we'll work on this together, we'll grow together, instead she'll either, one, blame him for being the reason why she did what she did, or two, what she'll do is she'll acknowledge his complaint. She'll acknowledge his bother. But then, right after she acknowledges it, she thinks that's enough. So now she's like, let me do this. Let me shift the dynamic here. There's too much tension on me. I don't want to take accountability. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, I understand that hurt you. Now, let me tell you something that you did to me. And then it goes from them struggling to take accountability, yet acknowledging her man's concerns and complaint, to her trying to shift things around and tell her man what bothered her and tell her man what she didn't like that he did.
Yeah.
So now it becomes, oh yeah, I might have fucked up, but you know what? You know how you fucked up, and I'm sorry that this happened 7 years ago, but I'm gonna bring it up now. But you fucked up, and and now I'm pissed off about it because you did this on this specific day at this specific time, and now I'm pissed because of that. Now you have to apologize to me. And that's the woman that hates being accountable for the things in the relationship that go wrong because of her. So when a woman fears accountability or hates accountability in a relationship, the moment something arises where she has to be accountable for being at fault for the issue, rather than accepting accountability, she wants to then bring up something her partner did, whether it be current or in the past, that upset her, to try and shift the dynamic and blame and now make him feel like he has to be accountable for something that is completely unrelated to the circumstance in front of him.
There's that, and another reason why a woman is never going to be in a lasting relationship and ultimately end up as a crazy cat lady is whenever you upset your partner and your partner has a problem with something that you did, and he goes out there and to confront it and to kind of bring it up as an adult and mend things together. Instead of taking that issue and working on it and be like, sorry babe for doing that, instead you get mad at him for being upset at you. If you're getting mad at your partner for having an issue in a relationship and expecting him to apologize because it made you upset, you're never going to find a relationship that's going to be growing. You're never going to be able to settle down, and you're going to ultimately be alone forever. And another thing, another point, kind of just to move forward a little bit, of a woman that's going to be alone forever and never find the right guy is a woman that has really high expectations of what a man should be, what a boyfriend should be, what a husband should be, but yet you put in the lowest possible effort. You demand princess treatment. You demand to be treated like a queen. You demand a perfect notebook relationship, but yet you put no effort into this relationship. Right? You want him to do everything for you. You want him to open the doors for you, want him to constantly buy you things, give you all of his attention, and never have him have any time for himself or his hobbies, because the attention he's putting on his hobbies, you feel like you should get that attention. That's never going to happen. In a relationship for both men and women, it's important to understand the 80-20 rule. And what that rule is, I don't know if you're familiar with it, is that you should never expect 100% of a perfect idolation of what you have in a man or in a partner. You should expect 80% of it to be ideal and perfect, and the other 20% is a compromise of the imperfection. Nobody's ever going to be perfect. We're all human. So if you're constantly searching for this perfect guy that's going to treat you like a queen and a princess, I'm sorry to tell you, there's always going to be something that you find wrong. And if you constantly focus on this 20%, you're going to miss out on the 80% of the amazing things he does. Yeah, he might have a hobby where he spends 2 hours of his day not giving you attention, but are you going to really let that ruin your chance of finding a perfect husband, finding someone that's actually going to love and care for you? You're going to repeat this cycle of getting your heart broken because of these high expectations that you have.
High expectations increases the likelihood of disappointment because of the fact that you're expecting so much from your man. As a woman, you're expecting so much from your man, and there's a likelihood that you never communicate these needs or these wants. So when those expectations are not met, you're now disappointed in thinking that this man that you're in a relationship with is not a true man because they can't seem to meet your expectations or fulfill those needs for you, yet they have no idea what those needs are and those expectations. So the best way to get what you want in a relationship is by communicating it. Another scenario that plays in can is if you don't communicate what you want in a relationship, it's very difficult to expect somebody to live up to that image or to fulfill the things that make you happy or fulfill your needs when they don't know what your needs are. And if you're a woman and if a woman is in a relationship with a man and she has all these expectations of what he should do and must do to make her happy, yet he has no idea what it is, but he thinks he's doing a good job, and now all of a sudden she cheats on him, she leaves him, she tells him he's not worth anything because of all these expectations she had in her head of what he should have been. And yet she never communicated it to this guy. So now it's his fault for the fact that she wanted to keep all of these things secret to herself and test his manhood or test who he is as a man and his value. When here's the thing is every woman has different expectations and needs. So what worked for you is not going to work for the next woman. What worked for the last woman is not going to work for you. So if you can't tell your man what you need for you to be happy, then you can't expect him to make you happy. But if you tell him what needs you have that need to get met in the relationship and he fulfills those needs, you're going to feel good. If you tell him what needs you have that need to be met and he fails to fulfill those needs, then you can at least have peace of mind in saying, I told him what I needed. I told him what I was expecting. I told him what I went through. And he chose not to listen to it.
Yeah.
The thing is like this, women are going to have a laundry list of things that they want in a man. And men are, and vice versa. Men are going to have a laundry list of things they want in a woman. But at the end of the day, where the biggest failure comes from when making a list of the things that you expect from your partner comes in the fact that you don't create that same list for yourself. Where the true issues lie and true failure lives in a relationship is when you have a list of things that you expect from your man, yet that same list that you have doesn't apply to you. You have all these expectations of what your man should be, yet you have little to no expectations of how you should be to gain this man or to attract this high value man.
Yeah.
But yet you think it's just going to come to you because you think that it's just what you deserve. It may be what you deserve, but without you bettering yourself to be put in a situation to meet a better man, you are never going to meet that person. And even if you did, your lack of ability to communicate properly is going to cause that man, a high value man, to leave you because of the fact that a man does not want to sit in a relationship and babysit your emotions. A man is not going to be in a relationship with a woman whose expectations are constantly changing or whose needs are constantly changing without ever being communicated. So now it feels like you're babysitting a child.
Yeah.
A man doesn't want to be in a relationship like that because if you're in a relationship with a man, yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be controversial and triggering to some people because they don't want to hear it. But a man is going to expect you to nurture. A man's not going to expect you to be like, oh, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. Because at that point, you're no different than an employer.
Yeah.
And now this relationship has become a job. And the moment this relationship feels like a job, it's a job I no longer want to work because it's not rewarding. It's a job that I'm not getting any type of pay from, whether it's monetary, physical, or sexual.
Yep.
And if the only thing that you could put forth and bring to the table is sexual needs, then I don't need you. And a high value man is quick to decipher this and be like, you're not providing me with what I need, but you're expecting me to check off every single box, yet you bring nothing to the table. And a lot of women believe that this is okay. A lot of women think that they can continue to get away with this. And unfortunately, that's not the case scenario. You're only going to keep getting hurt by either low value men that fail to meet your expectations or high value men who realize that they're fulfilling all of your needs and having their needs be neglected because you think that you don't need to do anything or you don't need to put forth any effort in the relationship for it to be sustainable.
Yeah, and I think this all boils down to one thing, and that's a woman that doesn't communicate is ultimately going to end up single forever. They're never going to find an actual relationship that's going to grow because you just simply don't communicate your needs. And there's this, chances are you're going to end up being single forever and you're never going to find a good and lasting relationship if you say this one sentence. If you say, I shouldn't need to tell my man how to love me, he should already know what to do. If you catch yourself ever thinking that, if you catch yourself ever saying that your man should already know what to do if he truly loved you, your relationship is doomed from the start and you're going to stay single forever. He doesn't know how you want to be loved. He doesn't know how you want to feel appreciated. You have to open up and tell him. You can't have these high expectations and expect him to be this picture perfect guy if you never tell him what you want. He may think he's doing an amazing job. He's doing everything he can. But as long as you don't say anything and you don't tell him how you want to be loved, you don't tell him what you're expecting out of this relationship, then of course your relationship's going to go downhill because you don't know how to communicate. So if you catch yourself saying or thinking, I shouldn't need to tell my man, he should already know what I want. I shouldn't need to tell my man how to love me. He should already know how and what to do. Your relationship is doomed and you're never going to find a relationship worth staying in or fighting for. I'm going to talk about one thing a lot of women suffer from. You may say, but I do tell my man what to say. I do tell him how to treat me. Because I tell him, my ex used to do this to me all the time. Why can't you do it? My ex used to buy me flowers all the time, but you rarely do. That is going to be the number one thing that will ruin your relationship. Because as soon as you mention an ex to your partner, as soon as you mention an ex to your man, guess what? He doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. Why don't you go back to your ex? You always talk about him so much. Why don't you go back to dating him? You loved everything he did. Why don't you go back together with him? Why are you with me then? So if you want to stay single forever, I highly recommend you always compare your ex to your significant other. If you want to stay single and you don't want to be in a relationship, always talk about your ex to your man. It's the number one way that you can achieve that goal.
Yeah, and also keep in mind before you decide to abruptly compare your current partner to your ex, remind yourself that there is a reason you are still not with this person till this day. And I don't care if you say, oh, well, if I had a choice, I would still be with them. It's just things didn't work out. Pay attention to the last thing you just said. Things didn't work out. If you had a choice, you would still be with them, but he didn't want to be with you. Why? Because a lot of times, a lot of people, here's the thing. A lot of times women get into a relationship because the energy feels right. But they don't realize that even though this person's energy matches yours, their values are completely different from yours. You might have lower values than they do, and that causes your relationship to fail. You might have higher values than they do, and that causes your relationship to fail. But holding on to somebody because their energy matched yours and thinking that that's what's needed to build a compatible relationship is the first step you're making towards catastrophe in your relationship. I mean, it's important to remember that love isn't just about finding the right person. It's about becoming the right person. So it's important to become the partner you hope to meet. And in return, you'll invite a love that actually reflects your true self-worth. And you won't have to cater or change yourself to match the standards of whoever you're in a relationship with now. And I'm going to put it just like this, right? If the person you're in a relationship with doesn't match your standards, you actually don't have to stay with them. Wow. I didn't know, right? If the person you are in a relationship with doesn't match your standards, you don't have to be with them. Don't try to convince them to move up to your level, or don't try to convince them to become better. Just find someone that does fulfill those standards for you, or does hold themselves to a high value just like you do. But another area where women are highly mistaken, and why a lot of women are going to, inevitably end up single for a long period of time, is because of the fact that they think they can fix somebody or change somebody. Ooh. Because of the fact that they think that, oh, this person is broken, but maybe, just maybe, this is the right person for me because I can fix them. Or maybe if I just help them a little bit through their traumas, they can become a better person and we can be in a lasting relationship. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. I'm telling you right now, if you are a woman and you are going into a relationship with a man and you're convincing yourself that by you helping him and changing him and fixing his little broken pieces and assisting him through his traumas, he's eventually going to love you for who you are and become the best man possible that you could have been in a relationship with, you fucked up.
You should have gave a spoiler warning.
You fucked up. You just sold yourself on a dream. You just sold yourself in an idea and a fantasy that would never come into fruition because of the fact that it was never there to begin with. You just tried to convince yourself that there was a possibility that things might change or become better, or this person might go from a low value man to a high value man. And I'll tell you right now, if you're in a relationship with someone who's a low value man and you're under the impression that by showing them a little bit of nurturing and love, they're going to become a high value man, eventually things may work in the relationship where you're like, oh, this feels like home. But then one day you'll come to the realization that the only reason why things worked out wasn't because that low value man became a high value man. It was because you went from a high value woman and you lowered your standards just to make your man happy. And now you're a low value woman because you thought that by doing this, you can cater to his needs, make him happy, and in result be a lasting foundation within one another. But what you fail to realize is by being in this relationship and trying as hard as you did, you sacrificed your own sanity, mental health in return. And most importantly, the one thing that you had going for you, which was your own value. And this is where that problem of thinking you can fix and change somebody comes from. If somebody wanted to become better, they would have done it. You wouldn't have to convince somebody to become a better man for you. They would have already been that man for you. But if you have to convince somebody to be a better man for you or be the person that you feel happy with and content with and fulfill your needs and be compatible for you, then you're in a relationship for all the wrong reasons. And you're not going to realize it until that relationship fails and you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, fuck, why was I so stupid? Why was I dumb enough to think that there was a chance in hell that this person was actually going to change? I'm stupid. And you start telling yourself this stuff. And now you're being hard on yourself. But you're being hard on yourself because of the fact that you didn't know any better. You thought that there was some type of chemistry there. But that chemistry you were feeling wasn't chemistry. It was just energy without values. It was just energy without emotion. And energy might feel good, but energy without the proper value set in place will ultimately end in catastrophe and failure. Because there's going to be a point where the energy dies down and you get to see that person for who they truly are. And then you realize that this is not what you wanted long term. And
if you think you can make this your partner into this ideal person of someone that actually cares and loves for you, you're wrong. You can't change nobody. The only person that is capable of change is yourselves and themselves. If they wanted to change for you, they would have done that by now. They would have respected you enough to make a conscious effort to change everything they're doing to hurt you. If they truly wanted to change, if they truly cared about your relationship, they would have done it. They would have became a better person. They would have stopped talking to everyone else that makes you feel insecure. They would have stopped treating you like shit. You're not going to be the person. You're never going to be the person to change someone into your ideal partner. That's never going to happen. Your ideal partner will come to you, but you need to shift your viewpoint out of this savior complex. You can't save everyone. You can't change everyone. Only they can save themselves and change who they are. You deserve to find someone that's actually going to love you. You can't fix that. You can't fix a broken soul. The only person that can mend their soul is themselves. So you need to get out of this mindset of thinking you can fix and change everyone that you meet. You have this saying of he's perfect for me, but this. There's no buts in it. They should just be perfect for you. And you will never be able to force someone to be the perfect guy for you. The only way you can do that is actually by finding someone you're compatible with. If you have the thought of maybe I can change him, or maybe he will change for me, he'll stop doing that for me. He won't. He never will if he doesn't actually love you. You have to find someone that will make that conscious effort of changing before you even get in a relationship just for you.
It's a very powerful point to finish that part off with. And, that's true. Like everything you said there, I couldn't have agreed more with. And I would say, I'm going to tie these last two into one another because I feel like we're kind of going off on a tangent here, right? And I don't want to bore you guys too much because a lot of you guys get bored really fast.
After 3 minutes.
And a lot of you guys will only watch 4 minutes, 3 minutes of our videos. But majority of you, by the way, are watching our videos and not subscribed to us. So we got a bone to pick with you guys there, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Unless you change that right now. If you change that right now, I might not be mad at you, but you better change it right now. All right. So last thing. Here's the last 2 different types of women that would be single forever. Oh, man, the woman that we all know too well. The jealous / pessimistic woman. And then the woman that is too masculine.
Oh.
Those are the women that will be single forever. And the reason is because nothing will ever make them happy.
And they kind of set themselves up to be single forever because they say, I ain't need no man.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so they just did it to themselves by saying, I don't need no man. I'm a strong, independent woman.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're a lesbian, then that probably applies to you. But
if
you're not a lesbian and you're a straight woman and you like men and you want to, eventually have a family with a man, you can't go around constantly saying, I don't need a man in my life. Because, great, you're independent. And there's nothing better than being an independent woman that knows their values and knows their worth. But at the same time, you're going to say it so much to the point that when a good man does come across, you're going to be challenged by this man and you're going to be intimidated by him to the point where you're not going to allow him to provide for you because you're afraid that it's going to make you look weak.
Yep.
And you're afraid that it's going to make you look like you're dependent on somebody. And there's nothing wrong with a 50-50 relationship where you put forth some effort, he puts forth some effort, and maybe he can alleviate some of that stress from your table, even if it means being a little bit more catering to that man, or even if it means showing a little bit of appreciation. You could be independent, but that doesn't mean that you have to tell your man that he can't be the man that he is and he has to change, because if he doesn't change, you're not going to be in a relationship with someone you have to depend on. You're not depending on him. It's just you guys collaborate well together. And then you're going to end up in a relationship with a man that does little to nothing in the relationship. And now you feel like you have to wear both hats of the man and woman in the household. And that's why you hear a lot of women that are like, oh, I'm the mother and the father of my child. Oh, because I raised them both ways as the mother and the father. Yeah, I get it. I understand. But unfortunately, that's because you allowed somebody that was a piss poor example of a man into your life, and then you gave that person the opportunity to become a father to somebody when they couldn't even be a good man to you. You think they're going to be the proper man for a baby, a child, let alone? They're not going to be a good father figure. Yeah. They're going to be the same version of themselves that they were towards you to their child, if they are even around to be there while their child grows up. Now, let's talk about jealousy and pessimism, right? A lot of women, unfortunately,
demand to constantly share locations.
Yeah, a lot of women are in these relationships where they feel like they can't trust men. You know, that's so common where they're like, oh, you know, you can't trust no man. Oh, all men are the same. Fucking hoe, who told you to fuck them all? But oh yeah, you know, you can't trust any man. All men are the same. And I'm just like really? Is that your belief? So when you go into this next relationship and now you don't trust a man because you think every man is out to hurt you, and you're jealous over every little thing that he does. You're jealous because he had to pick up an extra hour or 2 hours of working. And even though you have his location because you begged for it and asked for it as one of the conditions of being in a relationship with you to begin with, you can see that he's clearly at work, but now you're thinking he's fucking around with somebody at his job. Oh, there's no way this guy is working. Oh, a man that fucking works over it? Nope, he's cheating.
Yep.
And I get it. Maybe you got cheated on in the past. But the person that cheated on you in the past is not the same person you're in a relationship with now. So why penalize somebody and why treat somebody as if they're guilty for what somebody else in your past did? And then you're going to wonder why that man left you. But then you're going to tie all of that and associate with, oh, men ain't shit. Oh, all men want to hurt me. It's not that. Men, the only reason why you perceive men as not being shit is because of the fact that every single time you get into a relationship with a new man, you're the same woman at the end of every single relationship from the past. Yep. So you're the same woman with the trust issues, with the hurt, with the jealousy, with this, that, and the third. But yet you expect the man to sit there and accept that. You expect the man to sit there and accept the blaming, to sit there and expect the jealousy, to sit there and tolerate that from you. And here's the thing: is like if you're convicting a man of a crime he has never committed, then it is only natural for that man to want to be freed. Yep. You don't go to jail for a crime you never committed and say, keep me here, I love it. Yep. Say, keep me behind bars because, shit, there is no place like home. This is heaven to me. No. Any person that gets arrested and convicted of a crime, although they are innocent, demands that they are free. Yep. Demands that they are free from behind bars. And right now, by you blaming your man and treating him like he was the one that hurt you, even though that person is no longer in your life, hopefully, although that person is no longer in your life, it is no different than that man being behind bars for a crime he never committed. He's going to want to be free and he's going to leave you. And you're going to turn around and say that men ain't shit. But in reality, it's you that's not shit. It's you that treat every man like shit because you think that they have to settle for it. And unfortunately, it's going to hurt you when you realize that just because someone likes you and just because someone wants to be with you doesn't mean they have to tolerate your ass. And the moment you come across that realization, maybe you might change, or maybe you might just find someone that's, foolish enough to stay with you. And then you'll realize that in that relationship, you're the one putting forth all the effort. He's not doing shit. And that's because you're giving him something that he doesn't have to work hard for. So he's by all means, he's going to give you his location. He's going to give you this. He's going to give you that. He's going to give you everything you want. But you got to probably pay for his bills, pay for him to get haircuts, keep him out of trouble, basically become his mother in order for him to stay in this relationship with you. Of course, if you're relieving me of all my stress and duties, then by all means, do whatever the fuck you want. You can have my location at all times. Matter of fact, you can even reply to text messages for me.
Hey, that's easier, man. I got my personal secretary.
Exactly.
But I do want to touch a little bit on what you said. It's being jealous and having some sort of jealousy in a relationship, that is okay and fine. Because that just means you have fear of losing something that you really care about. You don't want to lose it, right? It's understandable. Everyone feels a little bit of jealousy. It's a natural human emotion. But when you get to the point where you're jealous if he's talking to a female coworker, if he gets a text message from his coworker and it happens to be a female, and she's just asking, "Hey, do you want to swap shifts with me?"
Whoa, swap spit?
Swap, yeah, right. So that there's an issue there. Not every guy is taking every single chance he gets to cheat on you. As soon as you get the inkling of when that guy is sleeping, you need to go through his phone to look through all his stuff. You should not be in a relationship with him. If you have to feel like you need to sneak around to see what he's doing, what he's talking about, you don't need to worry about him. You need to be worrying about yourself and your own mental state. You need to leave that relationship and work on and fix yourself, or you're always going to end up single. You're never going to be able to stay in a relationship because you're constantly snooping around. And when he wakes up in the middle of the night seeing you on his phone, he's not going to be pissed that you're going through his phone because he's an actual loving and caring guy that's not going to cheat on you. He's going to be pissed because he sees you having the need and the urge to go through his phone when he's sleeping instead of just asking him. He probably would have been like, yeah, sure, be at ease, look through my phone, I don't care. But when you have to sneak around and snoop through his phone, that's when it's going to be over with, and you're going to think he's getting mad because he's cheating on you, but he's not getting mad because he's cheating on you. He's getting mad because you have to sneak around and go through his phone while he's sleeping.
Anyways, if you're a woman and you're watching this and you watched all the way to the end, then I applaud you. If you're watching to the end, but you're fuming right now, you're red, you have steam coming out of your ears, I also applaud you because you still watched it. But at the end of the day, if you're watching this with an open mind to change, grow, and learn and how you can become a better person, then by all means, applaud yourself. However,
I did it for you.
If you are triggered in everything we say and you want to comment how triggered you are below and how we suck and how, all men are the same, just do it. All right. Other than that, if you gain anything from this video, or if you'd like to share this video with somebody that you think could benefit from it, by all means, go ahead and do so. But lastly, as I told you, I had a bone to pick with you, okay? And that bone is the fact that you're watching this, you're probably not subscribing, and if you don't fuck.